better watch out if your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets caught real big, gets off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score. Never getting bored, lots of blood and gore. Always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of party. And if you start shit, you be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you let scars rip. You be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Derp State. Got a lot to talk about today. It's been a day. It's been one of those days. Again, watching our government completely collapse has been very interesting, to say the least. So we're going to talk about some things that are not going to sit right with a lot of people. But unlike other channels, like I understand a lot of channels are reporting what's happening, but here I think at the Voice of Reason was we are truly trying to figure out what's next. Like, what is the next step for these people? And I'm trying to paint a mental picture for everybody that is truly horrifying. I really am trying to scare you into realizing that even if part of what we say comes true, it is going to be truly terrible for millions of Americans. So yeah, we don't want to delve into the whole conspiracy theory, but we have to at least try and at least attempt to figure out what they're trying to accomplish. So we are going to talk about that tonight regarding Donald Trump and his desperate press for a quadrupling of his ICE budget, because that's what this big, beautiful bill is about. That's what the main thing is about. Yes, they're cutting out, right? They're cutting all these social programs, and that's what everybody's focused on. But nobody's talking about the fact that Donald Trump is about to have billions, tens of billions of dollars a year to hire his own private army. And I'm going to show you some of the companies and people that are involved in the bids for this, just to make sure that you guys understand the type of people that we're dealing with. We are going to talk about Jeff Bezos and his multi-million dollar, $50 million wedding. And well, you know, Zuck the Cuck decided to show up at a $300 million yacht somewhere. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. Peter Thiel is on the list of people we will be talking shit about today, because he is one of the people that is helping Trump in this dystopian 1984 attempt to monitor us in real time, quite literally monitor us in real time. Stephen Miller has suggested putting GPS locators on immigrants. I can't imagine they're not already using GPS data from mobile devices. That is just, again, my brain, my imagination. But they're actually suggesting stuff like that. RFK Jr. has even suggested we wear like wearables, like watches and stuff, to monitor our health in real time. And then you got a company like Palantir, owned by Peter Thiel, who has been funding a lot of these people, especially the vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance, has been funded by groomed by Peter Thiel since college. Okay, he is one of the main reasons that J.D. Vance is the vice president of the United States right now. So we're going to talk about him a little bit, because he's a creepy dude who also has ties to both Israel and Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just throwing that out there, because there seems to be a lot of these people with ties to both of those individuals.
Everywhere. Yeah. He's the spider web of the elites.
He's the man behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right. He's not worried about being out there and flashy, like because Elon Musk's fatal flaw is he wants to be liked by everybody, and his ridiculous attempt to be liked by everybody, he's completely destroyed his reputation in the meantime. Yeah. Which is fine. But Peter Thiel is one of those people that's more behind the scenes,
yes, pulling
the strings, and that's what scares me about the guy. And he has a lot of money and access to a lot of information. And they literally want to use AI to track our movements, and basically the thought police. The thought police is real. Yes. Thank God. Yay. And not only we'll be talking about this more on a later show, because this show's kind of turned into talking about Trump and his immigration plan. But Gaza, they're dying fast. So not only have reports recently come out that Israeli soldiers have been ordered to target civilians, now there are reports coming out that they have been putting drugs and poison into the aid food that people do get. Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, you need to just look at it, because it's horrifying to look at. But once you see a kid that's starving to death, I watched a video of a kid starved to death, skin and bones, completely skin and bones, and there's nothing that the parents could do, just watch their kid die. and like we pretend it's not happening. And we still support the country that's doing it. That's what kills me, man. We're still supporting the country that's committing this crime against humanity.
Yeah, the
That's
Democrat
insane.
establishment is all lined up behind Netanyahu, who wanted Trump to win.
Hakeem
Like, how
Jeffries,
stupid could you possibly be?
yes, Hakeem Jeffries himself is nothing more than an apex shill. I
100%.
really had a lot of faith in the guy. I was really supporting and rooting for him as the minority leader. But when it comes down to it, like I said, 80% of our government is owned by AIPAC in Israel. And he's one of them. He's one of them, unfortunately. There's very few that are not. Some have taken a lot more money than others. But, this is the reality of our government right now.
Yeah.
It is truly Israel first. It has nothing to do with America first. It's truly Israel first in America now.
Which is so fascinating to see that catch hold in the MAGA right, because now they're even saying it. They're like, we voted for America first, not Israel first. Why are we helping them with their bombs? And I think we did this on the episode last week, but it's just like, how is it that the right is somehow speaking with more clarity and truth to power on this issue than the Democrats? It's fucking infuriating.
It is. It truly is. All right. Well, let's get into some of the topics at hand. First, let's talk about Jeff Bezos's multi-million-dollar wedding.
The clown show arrived.
Right. And I do want to talk about this because I did work for Amazon for a very brief period of time because it was one of the most unsafe jobs I've ever had as a delivery driver for Amazon. You get paid $20 an hour and they work the living hell out of you. They really do. And they don't care what the weather conditions are. Does not matter. But those Amazon packages getting into people's houses are super important. But he was able to go on a $50 million wedding with his, I'll just say his new wife. I'm not going to say anything negative about her. The astronaut.
He's going to be married for a year, get her settlement, and then fucking bail.
Right. Yeah, she's married to a guy who actually looks like a walking penis. Awesome.
He does.
The astronaut, Lauren Sanchez. She was one of the people on there, right? Yeah, I believe so. Well, here's some people that you can hate now because they went to the wedding. Kim Kardashian. I don't know why she's even still relevant. She's like, we live in the Kardashian era. So, like, no wonder Donald Trump is president of the United States. It just tracks. It makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
It's dumbed everything down.
Yep. More Kardashians. Kris Jenner and Corey Gamble. Orlando Bloom. Tom Brady.
No, not Legolas.
The guy who I'm a huge fan of Leo DiCaprio. But I was telling James before the show, I'll say it. I don't like the fact that Leo dates 18-year-olds. He's how old now? He's probably my age, like 40, mid-40s.
Yeah.
He has to be. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like when somebody his age dates 18, 19-year-olds and specifically 18, 19-year-olds. Like 25 is old for Leo. He will not.
Well, since he went to this, you know what? I'm glad he couldn't fit on that damn door. I'm glad he couldn't fit on that door.
I know, right? I know. Check. Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King went.
That's
Tommy
so
Hilfiger.
Bizarre. Oprah.
That tracks.
Wow.
That tracks. Usher. Oh, you're right. Another Jenner. I hate that whole family. Sydney Sweeney. No.
We all had some high hopes for Sydney Sweeney. Like, I don't know what in the hell is going on there.
Oh, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. Wow.
They've been kind of out of the spotlight for a while. I haven't been seeing what they've been doing lately.
Yeah, I don't like it when they're out of the spotlight because that means they're plotting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Joshua Kushner? Was that Jared Kushner's kid? No.
Brother, maybe? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Way
Again,
to go, Bill.
Speaking of Epstein, his wife left him because, well, not only because, but in part because it was so creepy that he would never disavow Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what that's all about.
Yeah. The CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman.
Evil guy.
Right? Elon Musk's mortal enemy. They hate each other.
Do they really?
Yeah. Dolce.
That
like
tracks.
Jewel.
I don't know
okay.
who that is.
You don't know who Jewel is?
No.
Oh my
Singer,
God.
model, or something?
Yeah, she's a singer. She was a real big singer in back in my day. I'm 47, so I grew up in like the 90s rock era. So yeah, Jewel is a singer.
Like
actresses. Oh, and of course, Lauren Sanchez. Why did they put that in there? Why did you really need to include that she showed up to her own wedding? Is that necessary for this article?
Oh, she's the bride. Okay. I didn't get that. She looks so different in this picture, though. From the one up above. She looks way different. Go scroll way back up to that one. It's like different people. Does she have a body double?
Yeah,
looks
right.
So different.
You should see pictures before all the work.
Yeah.
She doesn't look anything like her former self.
Yeah. It's been so weird because there's so like
I don't understand this look. This is like the rich woman look. I don't understand this look.
What, her outfit that she's got on there?
No, I'm talking about like all fake, huge lips, obviously Botox. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like even the Kardashians, none of them look like they did 10 years ago, for crying out loud. Especially Chloe. Jesus. Yeah. And people were like, oh, she just took care of herself. No, that's not how this works. You know,
somebody took care of her. Brina's asking in the chat if I really don't know Jewel. Yes, I don't know who Jewel is. So sorry, chat.
Right? Yeah, sorry, chat. We got to come up with a name for the chat. I don't want to call everybody just chat.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm 47. I shouldn't be saying the word chat all over and over again. And then, not surprising, but Mark Zuckerberg was hit with backlash. Oh, also about the wedding, apparently an entire city boycotted it, so they had to move venues.
Venice, yeah,
awesome, great job, kudos to Venice, fantastic. But Mark Zuckerberg pulled up on his $300 million "I have a small penis" super yacht. I mean, seriously, that's really all this is. Look, I have a big yacht and a very small dick.
Yeah, a yacht that big is like the giant truck tires of the boating.
Is he married? Because this is like the face of somebody that has to pay for sex. I'm saying, like seriously, if this guy didn't have money, he would never. Maybe that's why they're so angry. Maybe they just none of them are getting laid.
Yeah, well, I was talking about this earlier. I just everyone on the right, they just look as evil as they sound. They do. It's like when you're watching To Catch a Predator, you know, and you get the very stereotypical pedo guy, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense that you do this. Mm-hmm. Like you could spot him on the street, and that's how these people are. If you were to see this person on the street and you didn't know who he was, you would think, oh, that dude's an evil motherfucker. That dude is absolutely evil. He is like eating cats at night or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So here we go. Mark Zuckerberg's $300 million super yacht. I wonder if they have a picture of it.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
What?
That's ugly. It's a horrible color. Jesus.
It's a city. It is ugly, but that's insane.
Yep.
That's insane.
Tax the rich.
You know how much money it costs to just maintain and operate something like this?
That's what Alan's saying.
The amount of money these people are willing to waste just to live like this is insane.
He's saying the yacht burns most people's paycheck in a day. That's probably true. In a minute, not just a day.
Easily. Yeah. Even when they're not out running the world, when they're just sitting.
Fees.
Yeah, they cost millions of dollars a year just to maintain. And that's not even if you take them out on the ocean. But yeah, so it didn't get a warm welcome when it arrived in Longyearbyen. I don't know, Longyearbyen. I don't know where that is. A remote Norwegian. So it is Longyearbyen.
Oh, I see.
Okay, Norwegian archipelago of, oh my God, these freaking Norwegian words. As the CEO of Miller explored Arctic waters aboard his massive vessel called Launchpad. Oh my God. Accompanied by a $30 million support ship.
These guys could not be normal if you held a gun to their heads.
That's what I'm saying. Look, the support vessel is 10% cost of the actual vessel, called the Wingman. Climate activists staged a protest for obvious reasons, sounding the alarms over the environmental cost of the billionaire's visit. Protesters marched. All right, well, if he thinks he can come to one of the most threatened and fragile places in the world with 2 yachts, one of them emits 40 tons of CO2 per hour without being criticized, he's wrong. That's insane. 40 tons of CO2 an hour is legitimately crazy. So I'm honestly tired with the rest of the world. It seems like of all these rich people just doing whatever they want around the world, having
And
these
now they're going to get,
weddings.
if this bill passes, they're going to get even more tax cuts and even more money and even more yachts. It's unfucking believable. Eat the
What's
goddamn
crazy?
rich.
Check how many. Check your local representative and see how much oil stock they've bought recently. Some of them are buying lots of stock in oil.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's out of the bill now, but Donald Trump was willing to sell like 1 million acres of federal protected land so these rich people could build mega vacation homes and secret bunkers for the end of the world.
Yeah.
Because even Zuckerberg has one of those. I believe it's in Hawaii.
Probably. Which is hilarious because that's going to get wiped off the map at the first.
I know, it would be one of the first targets.
Yeah. So yeah, you really picked a safe spot, Zuck. Well done.
I know, but I'm so tired of these people, especially these rich assholes like Bezos and Zuckerberg.
And I love that he has to have a support ship. I mean, can you imagine spending $300 million on that yacht and then finding out it can't work on its own? It's like, no, you actually also get $50 million for the support ship.
That's what I mean. What's the point? You're right. Yeah, $300 million. I'd be pissed. I'd be like, what do you mean I have to spend another $30 million on another ship?
That's insane.
I feel like you got ripped off here, pal.
Yeah.
Like if your $300 million yacht is not self-sustaining, what's the point of spending $300 million on a yacht?
And then by then he can't to save face. He can't just be like, no, I don't need the accompanying yacht. Oh, why? Are you too poor? Well, no, I guess I'll get it then. God,
these people are so creepy. All right, so next I want to talk about Peter Thiel and why Peter Thiel is a problem. Again, this is the man who owns Palantir. Actually, you know what? I'll start off with a video. This is somebody walking up on the street and asking Peter Thiel a random question, which I feel is an appropriate question. We should have an answer to. Here you go.
Mr. Thiel, do you have any comments about Palantir's surveillance of the American people, sir? Or any of your connections to Jeffrey Epstein? I'm concerned about that last particular one. You're setting up a Big Brother surveillance system, and people know it, sir. Do you think the American people want this surveillance tech being used against them?
Again, we are not making this up. This is real. You know what I mean?
Any comments at all on the Epstein connections? You're meeting with them?
Again, more connections to Jeffrey Epstein. And in a second, we'll show you some more connections just to Israel in general. You know what I mean? Because he is also a big supporter of Israel, says everything that Israel and the IDF do is right, which is insane considering they're just murdering people. Yeah, but it's horrifying. It's truly horrifying that we have to deal with this shit right now. But again, we're trying to figure out what's next. So if we can point out truly how evil these people are, maybe it'll get through some people's heads. Like maybe these people are actually capable of some of the stuff that we're suggesting, because it's not good. I mean, they're building Alligator Alcatraz as we speak. Donald Trump's supposed to take a tour of it. Ron DeSantis was on TV bragging about it. The middle of Florida. And again, Mike and I talked about this. If they're willing to cut food stamps from millions of Americans, they won't even feed American citizens. Do you honest to God, do you think they're going to feed people that are in camps where no televisions can get into? You know what I mean? There's no press, there's no lawyers, there's no civil rights, there's nothing. These people are going to be disappeared and never to be heard from again.
Yeah. And that's crucial that people understand this right now, is that we are in the camps phase. That's what's happening. These people
that's real. Yeah.
Kidnapped and put into these are concentration camps. That's 100% what they are. And to call it anything less does it a disservice. And we also need to put the onus on the media to report it accurately. They are concentration camps.
We are not many steps away from gas chambers at this point, guys. I mean,
that is
but
correct.
if you honestly think they're going to humanely treat people that they're already shackling and throwing onto cargo planes, military cargo planes, which a lot of people are pointing out that it's a lot cheaper. There's a very disturbing theory going around TikTok that we will go over on a future show. It's one of the running theories that's going on that has me up at night. Truly so disturbing that it has me losing sleep. But they find it odd that they are taking a lot of these people on planes that happen to open midair. And why? Because it is a lot cheaper to transport people on people planes, passenger jets, where instead of Air Force, C-130s or C-17s that cost a lot more money to transport. And again, I'm going to hold off on talking about any more on it because we have somebody that's actually been tracking these flights. Okay. And something that she has discovered this is what has me up at night. She's been tracking these deportation flights, where they're going, and some of the suspicious behavior that she's been seeing. And she has it all charted out. So we have her coming on the show. I just reached out to her and she responded today. So we're not going to make any accusations, but we do want to point out any possible patterns we can to maybe get ahead of this before it's even worse than it already is. But yeah, anyway, I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot more that we're going to talk about today that has me disturbed, and that's the fact that Blackwater is involved in all this too. A lot of you may be too young, right? Blackwater, I will go over who they are after we talk about Peter Thiel, because I got ahead of myself here. But Blackwater is involved too. These are mercenaries that murdered innocent people that were pardoned by Donald Trump in 2020, who are now putting bids in. Okay. Yep. Again, this is why Donald Trump needs his budget passed. He's made a lot of promises to people. Contracts are out. He needs to pay up. And we're talking tens of billions of dollars in contracts to these individuals. So anyway, let's go back to Peter Thiel. Because Palantir wants to use all the information that Doge stole. Okay, that's what the purpose of Doge was. Okay, stealing our information to give it over to this guy, so they can just literally use AI and algorithms to monitor everything that we do.
Yeah.
At what point are they going to try and predict that we're going to commit a crime or something like that? You know what I'm saying?
We're going straight into Minority Report. That's where we're headed.
Right. That's the movie I was trying to think of the name of. That's what it feels like almost. And we sound like crazy people for saying stuff like this. But again, we're not looking at what's happening. We're looking at what's happening, but we're also looking at trying to look at the big picture here and trying to connect some dots. But, I don't understand why we haven't been talking about Peter Thiel a lot more in the independent media, because he's definitely a big part of this. And this whole Palantir thing, to take all of our information and just use it against us, is crazy. Super crazy. So, but this was, here's just another interview that Peter Thiel did. And why is he always so sweaty? Why is he always so sweaty? Every interview that he does, he is like super duper sweaty. But here's just an example of that.
I should not need to remind you that in the sort of quasi-mythological New Testament account, the slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and that there is we're told that there's nothing worse than Armageddon, but perhaps there is. Perhaps we should fear the Antichrist. Perhaps we should fear the one world totalitarian state more than Armageddon.
What? That's not even the worst one.
Speaking in tongues, practically, like it's just a bunch of gibberish.
He talks very much like Elon Musk, where he just stutters his way along and doesn't say anything. The sweatiness to me is the sign of somebody that does a lot of amphetamines.
Yeah, I was gonna say drugs for sure.
No, seriously, it's not alcohol or anything like that. If you take too much amphetamines, don't ask me how I know this, but profuse sweating is one of the side effects. Yeah, without giving too much away, right? Anyway, that's not even the worst one. The worst interview that he did, where he was just drenched in sweat, was right after Luigi Mangione assassinated the CEO of United Health. You remember this interview? I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, we saw it.
Well, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and play it again as soon as it decides to load. Here we go.
And to those who think this shooter is a hero, because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare
Seems
system
like the
which
Curb Your
kills
Enthusiasm
thousands of Americans by
soundtrack.
denying
Look at his
them cover. What would you
pupils;
say
they're
to that?
non-existent.
Boom, boom, boom. Jesus Christ.
I don't know what to say. I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is you should. There may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people, and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
What?
By the way, Pamela is asking for the email address again for the show.
Oh,
in
the VOR podcast and gaming at gmail.com.
Let me type it in here.
Yeah, that works.
VOR.
But no, I mean, it gets worse. We have more. We have more. I have one video I want to show you that's truly disturbing. Well, this guy's like, he doesn't even believe like humans have a right to exist. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy coming out of a human being. Ask him if you think humans have a right to exist. He's like, I don't know. What are they going to do when they get rid of everybody? I mean, they started with they said illegals, and then it just ended up being every brown person in America. Now they're using Haitians to go after black people. Okay, that's just the start of it. They say Haitians, but then they're going to start racially profiling like they're doing to everybody else. Like, oh my God, you look Haitian, get them. You know what I'm saying? And then when Donald Trump has his federal army in place, well, who's going to be able to stop this guy? He wants to put more money into ICE than he does his missile defense system. You know what I mean? It's crazy. This is truly crazy. But let me show you a video just so you guys know where he stands on the whole Israel situation. But here's another video of Peter Thiel.
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence or lavender by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets? And secondly, do you agree with Elon Musk about that the population decline is a risk for humanity?
Look, I'm not
sweating.
Still sweating. Yeah.
You know, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel. It's not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right, and that's sort of the perspective I come back to. And
love how you can hear the protesters outside. Good for them.
Yep, the IDF is right. That's what he says. Anything that's happening, just defer to Israel. Okay, so now we know where they stand. Again, and I don't like to keep pointing this out, but this is the pretty obvious where this is all going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I honestly feel like we've been not looking at Israel this whole time and looking at Russia when we should have been looking at this kind of stuff. But
yeah, well, you're
again, very sweaty.
Yeah, you were asking where it ends. It's the thing. It's fascism. It's always self-consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and that's why it was so important to fight for the margins. So protect trans folks, protect these, you know, the encampments for Gaza that were happening. And of course, the Democrats threw all of them out. And then now you've got Democrats getting in public. And then you've got them getting arrested like MacIver and Padilla. And then Padilla goes and votes for the very same bills that are getting him in these situations.
Right.
Everybody needs to be primaried. Everybody.
Yep. Hakeem Jeffries doesn't back Mamdani.
Even though Mamdani won Jeffries' district. Yeah.
Yeah. So just so you know, even the Democratic Party doesn't back Mamdani. They're trying to denaturalize him as we speak. The Republicans are. They want to deport the guy. For what? Being Muslim? Being a socialist that cares about his constituents? Oh my God. How dare he? Yeah. Wow.
So awful.
The cruelty is off the charts. The cruelty is off the charts. They asked Tom Homan recently what he thought about the fact that people are dying in ICE. He's like, people die in prison all the time.
Yeah.
People die in ICE custody. They
And
don't care, dude. They
Yeah.
don't give a shit about human life.
And then he went on to say, well, you know, a lot of these people also are just filthy and have diseases, so we make sure we take care of them then. I'm like, that's some Nazi shit right there. Like, that's how that stuff started way back when.
Right.
And now they're using it again. It's the same playbook used every single time. And the people in power, the media, the Democrats, the corporations, just let it go. And they don't realize that they are the ones that are going to end up getting targeted too.
Yep, they will. Everybody that doesn't 100% agree with this will be targeted in the end. So I hope these Democrats know who they're getting in bed with.
Yeah.
So, quick update too. I had a big announcement last time because I actually decided at mid-show that I was going to go to DC on July 4th, but apparently there is nothing planned for July 4th, which I feel is a complete fucking missed opportunity.
Same.
Maybe that's just me. You know what I mean? But so I'm gonna go to DC. There is one plan for the June or July 17th. So plan is still to go to DC. It's just not gonna be on the 4th. It's gonna be on the 17th. However, I will be looking for some trouble to get into locally in my city and in my state. I'm also in touch with the mayor about a couple of ideas. For some reason, I have the mayor of my city's phone number. Go figure. I don't know how shit like that happens, but yeah, I do. So I'm talking to him as well. I have a couple of ideas I've been trying to throw past him, which is pretty neat. So yeah, so again, we are going to do some live streaming on location this month for sure. Hopefully more than one. Also, I'm hoping within the next 30 days, I'll be able to actually put a few bucks into the show, like legitimately for equipment and stuff like that. I may have found a temporary solution to our funding problem. So we'll figure that out as it comes. Down the line. But anyway, if you guys want to donate to any of our stuff, we do have a GoFundMe set up for the on location live streams. And again, it will be in DC, but I'm hoping to have one in Harrisburg or even in my local city here between now and then. So we'll figure it out. We will definitely figure it out. Okay, moving on. Let me go to the last Peter Thiel video, and then I want to go ahead and move on to the Blackwater stuff. Because
it's so funny because if you were to see him in an interview where he's not sweaty, you'd be like, dude, are you okay? You're not sweating. You look human. Like, are you have an upset stomach? Are you gonna throw up? What's going on?
Right. So
reverse.
Peter Thiel always preaches about the Antichrist and all this. I think he is the Antichrist. He could actually very well be the Antichrist, who's to try to just destroy us all. So, but here's a crazy interview he did. This is about 2 minutes long, but I think it's worth watching. And I'll put it up on the screen with us here.
Very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history? Would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
Jesus.
They're all
again still sweaty.
Scenario. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety.
Peace?
And we've submitted
to peace and safetyism? What does that even mean?
I know. Why can't they just... They don't even speak English at this point. As much as they hate immigrants,
so weird.
Immigrants speak better English than these fucking elitists do. It's so weird.
You're absolutely right, because the entirety of MAGA, including Donald Trump, created an entire merch line because they don't understand basic fucking English. They created an entire Daddy Trump merch line because they thought somebody actually said, "You're my daddy." No.
Yep.
And the fact that it's creepy. They're on Facebook like, "Yeah, we love this."
It's still
weird.
It's just weird. Yes, we jinxed it at the same time. It's weird. And it was so stupid that they sidelined Walz when he was making progress during the election, because he was calling them weird and it was resonating. And we should be calling them weird because they are weird.
But these are the people that are behind the scenes doing nasty, dirty, disgusting shit that we need to be paying attention to. We can't just focus on Trump all the time because he's the biggest and loudest of them all. He always is, you know what I mean? But he's like, he is the distraction. Okay, everything that they're doing is the distraction.
You've seen,
but behind the scenes, there's some diabolical shit going on.
You've seen Mon Mothma's speech in Andor season 2, right? Have you seen that yet?
No.
She's got a great quote in there. It's basically saying like how when you get rid of the truth, we lose objective reality, and then we're subject to the monster that screams the loudest. And it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's gotten so bad that the World Cup is in jeopardy. And the Olympics are even having second thoughts about holding the Olympics in the United States. I hope they lose the Olympics. That would just be awesome.
Same.
And it's also the point where I believe it was an Iranian cleric has declared Donald Trump the enemy of God, which is very serious in that community. Yeah, and they said any Islam country, any Muslim country that supports him will basically just be out of the club. I don't know what club it is, but they're out. So Donald Trump has now been declared the enemy of God. But Israel and the Christian nationalists think they are on a mission from God. This is a problem.
This is a problem. God.
I'm on a mission from God. That's how I feel. That's what they just truly feel like they're on a mission from God. It's funny because the Zionists believe something totally different than the Christian nationalists. The Christian nationalists think that when the end times come, that Jesus is going to come down, they're going to be able to go to the Zionists and be like, "Ha ha, we told you, Jesus." Like, that's seriously
our God was real. Yours wasn't. Nana, boo, boo.
No, seriously, because the Zionists don't believe that Jesus is kind of going back. And that's why they're working together, because the Christian nationalists want to prove the Zionists wrong. But the only way they can prove them wrong is if they bring about the end times and Jesus actually comes back. Which, if Jesus comes back, let's be honest, he'd probably be at Alligator Alley or Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Right as we speak. They would be the first to crucify him.
Yes, they would.
If Jesus came back right now and started feeding the poor and healing the sick, they would call him a Hamas terrorist or a radical leftist and
or
crucify him.
Like, oh my God, he must be friends with Mamdani. Get him.
He must be a Muslim. Oh my God. But this is crazy. These are the people running the world. Man, and all we can do is report on it and try and participate as much as possible, but mostly just report on it. But I think that interview is funny because I think in real time, Peter Thiel realized that he is what he's always said that he's against, like this whole Antichrist, because he said that quote more than once. The whole what was it? Peace, and whatever the hell he said. I can't remember what he said.
Peace and prosperityism or something like that.
No, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
some kind of whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all creepy. They're all insane, and they don't give a shit about people. They don't know what we are. They don't know what it's like being us. That's what I'm saying. They don't know what it's like to not have enough money to pay your rent, or to have your car repossessed, or to not be able to feed your kids.
Or to wipe your own ass. They have people do it for them. You know, I mean, these are general things that everybody does on a daily basis. They probably don't even peel their own oranges. Like, they have to get their freaking cook or whatever to do it for them.
That's what I'm saying. These are people that have hired chefs. These are people that have nannies. Yep. They're not you. They never will be you. They don't want to be you. That's what bothers me, that so many poor people support people like this. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's truly insane. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the second half of the show. Oh shit, we're 40 minutes in. Okay, so the last 20 minutes of the show. This is where everything comes together.
Let's do it.
Because this is the part that bothers me. Okay, Donald Trump is about to have a supercharged ICE budget, 4 times its current budget. Okay, ICE is running out of money, has been reported, or they are out of money, which is why Donald Trump is so desperate. Because in order for him to continue this plan, he needs a lot of money, and he is committed to some very large contracts with some very nasty people, like Blackwater. Let me go ahead and pull that up. And for those of you who don't know who Blackwater is, well, let's get into it. First of all, just so you know, Donald Trump did pardon them in 2020. I feel like Blackwater was always part of the plan.
And again, look at those pictures. Of course they did it. You know?
Right.
Look at the baldy motherfucker. Even the dude with the glasses. Glasses generally can kind of like maybe make you look a little less evil or at least more smart.
Yeah, but then you have the Hitler haircut.
Yeah, he's got Dahmer vibes. Like, of course these guys did this.
Oh, of course. So, all right. So among the pardons made by President Trump, this was from 2020, December 23rd to be exact. Nicholas Slatton, Paul Sloff, Evan Liberty, Justin Hurd, they were convicted 6 years prior for killing 14 Iraqi civilians and wounding 17 others. These were private contractors. If you guys remember the Iraq War, Blackwater was in a lot of heat for doing things like murder, torture. And then finally, this is only the amount of people that were proven to be killed. They allegedly, for legal reasons, killed a lot more than this. These are just the ones that they were definitively able to prove. 14 civilians killed, 17 others wounded. Witnesses described how the American men ambushed the civilians unprovoked, firing on Baghdad's Nassour Square with heavy gunfire and grenade launchers. The massacre took place in 2007 get rid of the ads. I don't pay for any of this shit. So when 4 were working as guards for Blackwater, a private military contractor on assignment in Baghdad. So they were involved in the Iraq War. Okay, but it gets worse. Trump allies circulate mass deportation plan for processing camps in a private citizen army. The group, led by Blackwater veteran Eric Prince, has close ties to Donald Trump. Are you guys seeing where this is going? This is who is going to be getting a lot of money. Okay. A group of prominent military contractors, including former Blackwater CEO Eric Prince, has pitched the Trump White House on a proposal to carry out mass deportations through a network of processing camps, Alligator Alcatraz, on military bases, which is also being worked on. A private fleet of 100 planes that happen to open from the back, and a small army of private citizens empowered to make arrests. The private army, or a small army of private citizens empowered to make arrests. The blueprint, laid out in a 26-page document that Donald Trump received before the inauguration, carries an estimated price tag of $25 billion and recommends a range of aggressive tactics to rapidly deport 12 million people before the 26 midterms, including some that would likely face legal and operational challenges.
Yep. And this is what our money is going to. Instead of healthcare, instead of housing, instead of food, our tax dollars are going to shit like this for the rich to basically kill folks. That's all this is.
Okay, so you have a private contractor group, former, what doesn't matter. They were part of Blackwater. Trump has ties to Blackwater. He pardoned members of Blackwater. And now you got a former member of Blackwater, Eric Prince, about to get paid $25 billion to use aggressive tactics to rapidly deport 12 million people. That's horrifying. So they're going to use people. Yeah, this is insane. This is insane on private American soil, or not private soil, but American soil. These people were arrested because of what they did in another country. And they're going to let them have $25 billion. This is a private freaking federal army that is under Donald Trump's control. 100%.
Yep.
100%. This is what this is. And then the final article I have, that was from the 2nd of June. If you think Trump's deportations have been bad, wait until his civilian army gets started. Okay, so Homeland Security, Secretary Kristi Noem incorrectly defined habeas corpus, blah, blah, blah. Go down here. Noem oversees ICE, which has been forcibly disappearing undocumented immigrants. That's an important phrase there. Forcibly disappearing, as in we don't know where they're at. International students, permanent residents off the streets. ICE officers frequently wear masks and do all that stuff. And it says here, yes, ICE is deeply flawed, but there's a risk of something far, far worse. Eric Prince, this is mentioned again, former head of a private military company, Blackwater, has pitched multiple proposals to the White House. And again, nobody's talking about this. The fact that Blackwater, a private mercenary group.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're a mercenary group who got paid a lot of money in Iraq. They got paid way more than the actual members of the military to do what they did.
And this is interesting coming from the Hill, which is pretty right wing. So for them to use very blatant, they had something in the upper paragraph about forced disappearances. That's more serious language than I think even MSNBC is using.
Right.
That's really bizarre to me that a right-wing rag like the Hill would speak so plainly. Very interesting.
And then the part that bothers me is, according to one of his proposals, a new Prince company, 2USV, I don't know what that stands for, would train and deploy an army of as many as 100,000 armed and deputized citizens. So a bunch of MAGA nut jobs with guns who just are itching to kill something. And they're going to give them unfettered access. They don't need warrants. Don't even need to show their faces. They can pull up on the streets, throw you in the back of a van, and then nobody, even your family, even your lawyer, doesn't know where you are. How are we not talking about this more often in the news?
That's insane. I mean, that could have been written by like Mother Jones with that tone. How speaking truth to power it is. It's just I'm kind of having my mind is my flabber has been gasted.
Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to paint a picture for everybody that's pretty disturbing, but
yeah,
it's real, man. This is real.
It's here. Yep.
And it's happening. It is here. And if Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill gets passed, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. I mean, there's nothing else to talk about. He will be able to fund this. Right now, he doesn't have the money to fund all of this. Okay. They've used up what money they had. You know what I mean? So they're going to inflate the deficit to cover shit like this. They're going to inflate the deficit by a lot to cover tax cuts for the rich.
Yep.
They were trying to sell off protected federal land, for crying out loud. I mean, this country should just have a giant for sale sign in the front of it at the moment, because that's what it feels like. That's really what it feels like. So yeah, but that's most of the information I have for this show. So I don't know what else to tell you guys. There's some more coming. I can tell you that the further we dig down this rabbit hole, the more disturbing it gets. But Donald Trump's about to have a federal army, his own personal Gestapo. We've been saying it from day one. But again, they have everybody focused on Medicaid, Medicare, all that stuff. You know what I mean? And Donald Trump is useless around the world, because even his ceasefire in Israel is complete garbage, because they've already bombed Lebanon.
Vladimir, stop. All that shit.
Vladimir, stop. Oh, my God. You know what's crazy? What they said on Russian state TV today? And then I guess we'll end with this. The fact that Donald Trump is doing exactly what they hope he would do, and that's basically create a civil war. Yeah. Make it so bad that we basically just go at each other's throats. That would be the fall of America. And then anybody who is left standing, because we're going to be so weakened by this as a nation that we're going to be fair game for all these other countries. We are going to be fair game. If Donald Trump doesn't sell us off to like China or Russia or Israel, you know what I mean? Eventually there's going to be nothing left. There's going to be nothing left. Yeah. What are they going to do? And this is all led by Stephen Miller, and Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, who recently said that if it was up to him, there would only be 100 million people in the United States, and that's white people, even though his wife isn't white. Again, make it make sense. You know what I mean? Yet no, Stephen Miller is not white, or his wife is not white. Yeah, he is the most racist person in this country.
And it's important to still maintain strength here, because this is not a regime that is strong. This is a regime that is very weak. They had to drop their own lawsuit against that Seltzer lady, the one that had the poll showing the Kamala in Iowa. That is not the actions of a strong regime. And same way with all these ICE kidnappers, the Gestapo going door to door, them hiding their faces, them being concerned about the protest tactics, about being stopped. This is a regime that is weak, and it can be beat, but it will take effort and putting some skin in the game. So we shouldn't be too defeatist about it.
No,
his polls are everywhere. I mean, the big beautiful bill is hugely unpopular. He's underwater even on immigration with his Gestapo. This is anything. If anything, we're actually much more united against him than we are divided. But that's going to require real leadership that's actually going to do something about it.
Right. My fear is, and Mike and I are going to talk about this tomorrow on tomorrow's show, but they are going to try everything they can to push back the election, not certify the elections.
Yes.
Whatever they can. They've already started in Florida. They completely rescheduled an election for next year that was supposed to happen this year after Mondani won, because they see how unpopular they are. To me, they are, and of course, this is my personal opinion, but to me, they're acting as if they don't give a shit about elections anymore because they won. And if Donald Trump has a personal army filled with actual members of the militia or a militia who have killed people in the past, you don't need to pass laws for voting or redistricting when you have an entire army that has intimidated the entire country into staying home. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think black people are going to want to come out and vote, or you think Hispanic people are going to come out or Latino people are going to want to come out and vote if they think that they're going to get picked up off the street? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad as it gets. They are acting as if popular opinion no longer matters. They used to watch polls. These people were poll watchers. Donald Trump, poll watcher. But yeah, they used to obsess over polls. You know that Donald Trump sued somebody over polls. Okay. Now they don't give a shit about what the polls say. They don't care that they're unpopular. They don't care that Donald Trump's approval ratings are underwater. It doesn't matter anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not trying to paint a grim picture, but at this point, I feel like they did everything they possibly could to get into power. So why are they just going to give it back in 2 years? What's the point of it all?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they would obviously be investigated, because if the Democrats win the House, then at least they could start doing investigations. And the shit that's going to come out in these investigations is going to be like Nuremberg level stuff, Nuremberg trial level stuff.
That is the compromise position, is Nuremberg. Any Democrat not willing to go down that road is not a Democrat that should get a vote.
No, I agree. And yeah, so it's bad. It's bad. It's not looking good. So it all hinges, though, on this big, beautiful bill, this big, beautiful disaster that will kill a lot of Americans, and is damn sure going to kill a lot of innocent immigrants.
Yep.
That wanted nothing more than a better life, because that was the American dream, which has turned into an absolute nightmare, unfortunately. So, but that's all we have for today's show, guys. Thanks for watching. Mike will be back on tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And I do have some special guests lined up here in the near future. Just got to get some scheduling done. And again, I'll keep you guys posted on any on-location streams that we decide to do. Definitely July 17th in DC, but hopefully something in between there too. I don't want to wait another 2.5 weeks to go out to the streets and protest. So, all right. Have a good rest of your day. Love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Please share this video with your friends and on other platforms like Facebook or Facebook groups. Anything like that helps a lot. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. We love you guys.